We're so glad that all of you are here. Ooh, that is on.
It's on.
Nice.
Okay, looking good.
Wow, look around, first of all. It's a good-sized group.
This is only a portion of the group because I know of a goodly number of people who couldn't be
Goodly.
here tonight because they're away. It's summertime, they're traveling, doing that stuff.
But you are here, and we are here, and we're so glad. And this is going to be recorded, and this is being streamed so that if you hear anything that you want to go back and get details or information, go for it. We would be glad for you to do that. Really quick, we're going to open in prayer, and we've asked Arthur to do that. Oh.
Well, hello. I'm going to use that one, Jack. Here we go. Yeah, they've got a special Arthur button on Sunday morning that keeps it.
Don't have to be answered tonight, okay? It's still coming. So it's happening on a faster schedule than I prefer because of the fact that instead of a fall of 2024, it's a spring of 2024 trip. So that accelerated everything. So if it seems a little bit trying to get things all done in order on a speedy basis, that's what's behind that. So the trip itself is a pretty standard Israel cruise trip for St. Andrew. Patty and I have done this before. This will be our fourth one, 2007, 2011, 2018, and now this trip.
Your fourth cruise trip.
Fourth cruise trip. We've also done 1, 2, 3 land trips, something like that, right? So this particular cruise is going to give us a chance to not only experience Israel for 3 days with wonderful guides. We're using the same touring company in Israel we've used before. We were careful to reach out to those guides and book them before we committed to anything, because it's all about the guides in Israel. So we're going to have Leor, we're going to have Neil, we're going to have Maddie, and we're going to have a fourth guide that I hope, but we don't have committed to. This time we have 4 buses. We've never had 4 buses. So going to meet in Athens, as you know, and there are 2 opportunities in Athens to walk in Paul's footsteps. One is the Athens tour, the Acropolis tour on the Wednesday. The second one is the Corinth tour on the Thursday. And you would book those through ARDA. And you have all that information. It was all sent to you via email. And I know some of you may have been to these places, but it's the Acropolis/Athens on Wednesday, which is the book of Acts 18. And then you have Corinth on Thursday. And then on Friday we will board the ship. And the first place we will stop after Sea Day is 3 days in Israel. Okay? And they'll be spectacular. You can plan on coming back to the ship very tired at night. I will tell you one thing now that we will tell you another 12 times before you go there. When you are going to go on a cruise to Israel, you are going to get a special piece of paper from Israel so that they don't have to stamp your passport. Because if they stamp your passport, there are countries in that part of the world that you would not be allowed to enter. So they give you instead what's called a landing card. Do not lose that landing card. We were once with a gal who decided she had too much. She was organizing herself to get rid of all the extra paperwork she had in her cabinet. And that was part of it. And it wasn't good. So you want to hang on to that because that is the equivalent of your passport stamp.
And it's only like this big.
Yeah, so just put it in your passport, keep it there, and I will tell you another 10 times because it's not like any place else that I've ever been. So after we do Israel, I'm not even sure the order, but we will go to Egypt and do the pyramids, and we will go to Ephesus and be able to see the ruins at Ephesus, which are some of the most spectacular in the ancient world, the amphitheater, the library. You will be well prepared. Lauren and I will make sure you're well prepared for this, including the Israel trips, including the Paul Day. We can give you as much learning as you can stomach. How much you want to take in or participate in is up to you. I'm not a cop in any of this, okay? The cruise itself, being on the ship, and Rick is going to come up in a little bit from Celebrity and walk you through what the ship is like. We have like 4 sea days, and this really is so much of it is about fellowship, about getting to meet other fans and people you don't know. It's always been so much fun, and we will have meetings on the sea days, hopefully in the early afternoon, in a space large enough for us, in which we will do, Lauren and I will do some teaching, we'll do some Q&A, just to keep you prepared, because I've done a number of tours, a number of trips like this. What you don't want to do is show up at these sites knowing nothing. Or what will happen is, you will walk around just simply a dog. You won't hear what the guide is saying to you. It won't make any sense. You won't be able to connect any of the dots or connect any of the places. So this is a big trip. It's not a cheap trip. And you want to put the time into preparing. And Lauren's going to kind of walk you through how we're going to help you feel prepared for the trip in that sense. And yes, there are a lot of logistics questions, and we'll cover those with you, and those will come up all the way until the time that we leave. But it's not just logistics questions. You know, this is a pilgrimage, actually. You are going to Israel. You're going to Jerusalem. You're going to go to Galilee. You're going to sit on the 7 steps in Jerusalem, which are steps on which Jesus would have walked. It's really the only place that you can go and be sure that you are walking, sitting where Jesus walked as he ascended his way up into the temple. So never lose sight of that. We're going to have a lot of fun and a wonderful time. But it's a very special opportunity to grow in your faith. I'm going to say this. It changed Lauren's life. Changed Creighton's life. It's changed the lives of other people. Maybe not as drastically as Lauren's, but it's just a wonderful wonderful, wonderful experience. So let me give it back to Lauren, and you can. Did you have anything you want to add to that?
Oh, yeah.
Are you back in business with the mic?
Yeah.
Okay.
We're back in business. Yes, just to echo everything Scott said, I think it is so valuable for us. We're here today, what month is it? July, right? So we have such a runway up till April. That is that's no excuse, that's no coincidence. Like, there's just so much opportunity ahead of you, and I want to encourage you in that, and I want to invite you in that, as Scott just did. Use the time. And it does not have to be, verse by verse, studying the Bible in Greek. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying the Holy Spirit will work in you and will work in our group and will work in us in mysterious ways that we have no idea what that will be like. And so the more that we lean in day by day as we gear up for April, when we get there, there are so many times that we may be standing in a place and it could just feel like any other trip. And as Scott said, it's just not. It's just infused with this awe that Christ, who is God, who came to earth, was at this latitude and longitude point, like to make it very sterile and objective. Latitude and longitude, right here, this is where God chose to come. And so everything that we know of these stories, these are people, not characters. And I just want to make that statement as we get going, that it is life-changing, and whatever that looks like is unique and subjective to every single person. So there's no need to compare. There is no need to expect it will be one way or another. Who knows? Only God knows. But that's why we are going, because as much as we can do here in Plano, which is a very good place to be a disciple of Christ, it is so enriching that we may be able to, and that you guys have set aside the time and the resources and the intentionality to go all the way there. That is a pilgrimage. It's not just a trip. So I just want to invite you into that mindset as we keep talking, and we will get to logistics, and it will feel familiar to many cruises or trips you might have been on in that sense. But let me tell you, I've seen a lot of people who have been before, and maybe a nod of head if you agree that when you get there, there's some moments that we could say the same things in a class or a sermon here in Plano, and whoever in the group is reading that part of the scripture, whoever's offering up a thought, all of a sudden it just connects. It just clicks in a whole new way. And so that's something that I want to let you know to look forward to. Invest in it, prepare for that feeling, and I cannot wait to see what God will do with this group. So with all of that, I do. I think it would be a great time to have our experts, really on the trip standpoint, come up here. Steve and Rick, if you would give them a warm welcome, that would be great. Glad you're here.
That's a working mic.
That's a working mic.
A working mic.
Thank you, sir. What a pleasure to be here. It's twofold for me because obviously I work for Celebrity and I'm here mainly just to tell you about the ship because many of you may not know about Celebrity or this particular ship. But in my past, I actually hosted many trips to Israel through the years, and I can't agree more because it was what happened with me. I mean, I grew up in church, grew up hearing all the stories, and just being there and feeling the connect, because that's what happens, you do connect. A little funny story, one of them we were doing vacation Bible school for some Irish children up in the Galilee area, and we weren't too far from Nazareth, and my daughter, who had been doing Bible school, for a long time teaching, was talking to a bunch of kids and just telling the basic Bible story and said, and God sent his son Jesus, and he was born in, and she would normally say, a small town in Galilee called Nazareth, but we're sitting there. And so she said, Jesus was born kind of over there. And for her, when later she said, it all hit me in the middle of trying to teach that Bible school, that I was sitting where all this happened. So it's an amazing opportunity. I'm so glad you're going to be able to experience it. Celebrity goes all over the world. We don't do this itinerary year-round, but this is the first year that we're leaving the ship in winter in Europe, and we've dedicated many of those sailings to our Israel and Egypt sailings. So I'm going to go ahead and step through the ship for just a little
Great.
bit. Celebrity is a premium cruise line. How many of you have been on Celebrity before? Oh, I don't need to tell you all about Celebrity. Liberty, but we are 15 years running voted best premium cruise line. We're very proud of that. And that comes down, I think, to a combination of our culinary experience, the ship design itself, and mainly the crew. Infinity is one of our smaller ships. We have 3 classes of ships. The newest and most flashy is our Edge class.
Yes, so we're going to jump to that part of our night. And based on the questions, stand off to the side. Based on the questions, we will direct who can answer them best. And like Scott said, we may not have an answer to every single question. We all have email, yes? Okay, so you can email us, we will email you. And as Steve said, that's kind of what we've been doing is we all work together closely. So even though certain questions have gone to certain people in the past, rest assured, we're all on the same page and we will get you what you need. So with that, I'd like to open the floor to questions. And if you're thinking it, as Scott says, right? If you're thinking it, 5 other people probably are too. So, yes.
We were on the standby, and we've heard about all of these trips and all the situations that are going. We have received nothing on that. Like today, we didn't know about this until, the Scott's class today.
Are you on the wait list?
We were,
But you don't have a cabin?
Yes, we do.
Okay, so how long have you had a cabin?
A couple of weeks.
Yeah. See, the problem is keeping the listed realm up to date with the list that Arda has. And Connie's away, and she does that. So we have to put a process in place to make sure that the list that I have access to and the list that Lauren has access to matches the list that Arda has. So now that we've largely calmed down in terms of, remember, 160 people signed up in 7 hours. So now that that's behind us, we'll put that little process in place and we'll get weekly updates. My big advice is to use a buddy system. We've had to do this in the past, where if you know another couple who's going, if you have a roommate, something that you can connect with, so that you can call each other and make sure you got the email, because we all know that email these days gets swallowed up by junk mail filters. I miss them sometimes because my system puts a perfectly good email in my junk folder and I don't realize it for a couple of days or something. So that will help as well, but the list that I used to send last week, or whenever I sent out the notice about this trip meeting, it had flaws, and I can just only apologize, and we're going to have to get that tightened up. That's what happened.
Sure.
we get a list of the people that are going, so we can.
Yes. The question is, are we going to send out a list of the people who are on the trip, so you can see the answer to that's yes. So I would like to get the list cleaned up. Now, Patty and I are going to be gone for a while, so Lauren's going to work with Connie on this, and once we get the list cleaned up and our list matches the list from Arda, then we'll send that out there. We should be good to go. We just will get like weekly additions and subtractions as they are clearing people to the wait list, which is good, but it's hard then to keep the lists all up to date because they're clearing people to the trip.
Something also to look forward to is that as we near, and there are those logistic-based meetings, we will have things like name tags and packing instruction. I mean, all the really practical things, and we will all become very familiar with each other over the course of these meetings. There will be other opportunities like learning, like biblical meetings and things like that, where we can dive into what we're going to see. At each of those, as we near, that will be top of mind for us, is so that we can continue to build connections with one another, so that when we are halfway across the world, we're a very familiar group, and we can recognize each other in the streets of Old Town Jerusalem. That would be lovely. So, yes, question here.
Gentleman from Arda,
Yes, Steve.
what is his name?
Steve?
Steve
I'm
McSwain.
Steve.
Steve McSwain. Yes, Steve.
Hi. So I've never been on a cruise, and I've been out into that area of the world years ago. The question that you mentioned about the airfare and securing it right away, I've been talking with Jose, and he put us on a list for the fixed number of seats, okay? being on that list secure the price that he quoted us?
Yes. Golly. Yes. Yeah, so that's kind of a loose question because, so we secured a significant number of group airline seats, quite a few, just to make sure we had people covered that they called and said, hey, I want to go, and we don't want them to have to pay an exorbitant amount. But with that, you have to have a minimum of 10 passengers to qualify as a group. As it stands today, I think we have 8. So we thought there were going to be like 70. But I mean, and it's fine, but there are alternatives. So if you're dealing with Jose, there's actually a different alternative for you if we don't make the 10. So as long as you're working with him, you are squared away.
Okay, because he put us on the list
Yep, I know exactly what you're
for
talking about.
the
It's Delta,
the
yeah.
minimum 10. the
Right.
Delta,
Mhm.
itinerary.
Well, even if that group doesn't make, if there's not 10 passengers, there's alternatives. But there's no alternatives for 70, right? So that's why we blocked 70 spots just in case there was a lot of people. That was the maximum number of seats we could block. So based on the robust response for the initial cruise, we didn't know if 70 people were going to need airline tickets. So we just went ahead and did that, kind of in the blind. And as it turns out, we don't need 70, but we do need 10 for that particular itinerary. But if that itinerary doesn't work, if we only have 8 people, we can accommodate that. That's not a big deal. But trying to accommodate 70 at the last minute individually would be a challenge.
I was mainly concerned about fixing.
You're squared away.
Yes, Kathleen.
Have you secured hotels in Athens?
Well, it's available, yes.
I mean, if we're gonna do those tours, we're gonna have to go in probably on April 2nd, correct?
You want to arrive on this. Well, if you're going to do both of them, you want to depart on the 1st, arrive on the 2nd, correct? Yeah, we have hotel accommodations. But again, if you're working with somebody from our office, just let them know that's what you. These are the great, granular details that we need to make sure everyone's accommodated. Because we don't want to wait till the last minute, a month out and say, well, I was planning on doing this tour, and I don't have airline tickets or a hotel. That would be a challenge. So that's why we strongly recommend 9 months out, which is where we are today, to make those arrangements.
And I have one additional question. When we go to Turkey and Egypt, the women have to wear head coverings?
No,
Yeah, I was going to say no, not anymore.
never have. I've been to both places, never have. So.
Did-
No head coverings for ladies required. Oh, and also, just if we're going to get down to the travel talk, your passport has to be valid within 6 months of your return date of travel. So it's not up until the day you depart, or even the day you return. It's the day you return plus 6 months. So keep that in mind. So if you have an issue with that, we have contacts with expediters that can maybe assist in that process. But that's the other thing. I would say maybe even more important than the air. Check your passports, please. And that's also a U.S. passport. So we've had issues where people have passports issued from other countries that have different requirements. I had that issue at one time. That was not positive. I know the rules for U.S. passports, I can tell you right now, but if you have a passport issued from Mexico or Canada or Yemen, which is where this was from, which is really not a good thing. But U.S. passports are 6 months past the date of return. That's all they need.
Can you stand near Lauren? Her mic is the one that's working correctly and is picking up really good online. The rest is not, so please just stand somewhere near her. You don't
Okay.
have to, you don't have to be, yes.
All right. We'll share. Okay. So, all right. So here's the thing. Really check your passports. There's a story that's going around about Scott having not done that in 2016, just a couple of months after surgery, and I sent Patty on to Israel without me and had to go down to the federal building downtown to walk a passport through. Now, that's the story that's going around. Sadly, it's a true story. So you really want to just double check. It's got to be 6 months after we get back. So if you look at it and it says anytime in 2024, get a new passport. And it's taking a while now to get them. They're not happening quickly. Okay, next question. In the back.
Are you setting up tours for us in Egypt and Ephesus?
I was just talking with Rick about that, so in some weeks, we were going to work with, Celebrity's going to work with Arda, Arda's going to work with us to generate the excursions that we want in Egypt to get to the pyramids, and in Ephesus to get to the library, and in particular, the ruins with the amphitheater and stuff. So with that, that will happen, but Rick said, we have time. That's what you told me. We have time. So that hasn't been the first priority on the list. Yes.
For the Athens time, we're gonna get in a day later than needed to on the Athens. Is there a chance of getting an Athens tour on the Thursday, not the Wednesday?
I think you would need to arrange for that yourself. Okay. That's what it's very easy to do online.
No, nothing on Celebrity says that you've got a free tour.
Well,
It's through ARDA.
it's through ARDA. The two tours that you know about that I sent out, and those are through ARDA, not through Celebrity. The ship does, and I looked at. I don't think they do, but you would just book if they do end up offering some. You would book that through the through your booking number with Celebrity. But I've looked and I haven't seen them.
Can we make it a trio here? We actually do. Hi, Scott. We actually do have them, but it would separate you from the rest of the group in terms of hotel. Our pre-night package, we call it a city stay, would be hotel transfers, all meals, a tour, but you would be separate from the group. You'd have to meet up with the group later. So in this case, I would work on doing something, as Scott says, on your own so that you can be staying at least with the group in the same hotel.
But we don't have a group hotel. We're not using a group.
We're not doing it.
We're gonna be among several hotels.
Okay.
Yeah, right, exactly. And that's the other thing. It's kind of like with the air thing. We decided we were going to try to block a large group of space. We were going to do the same thing for hotels, but people were having such a variety. Again, this is 90 individual vacations. It's not one group of 180 passengers, which we're accustomed to. It's not a big deal. But 90 individual vacations, there might be, depending on if you like chocolate or you like vanilla or strawberry, there's going to be 5 different types of hotels that people would prefer in terms of price point, location, and all the different things why people like what they like. So we could not do a group hotel block for free. So that's kind of how that ended up.
Okay, over here.
Provide some details about the itinerary for Israel, some of the things.
Well, we have 3 days, okay? But the actual each day itinerary is not laid out yet. So I don't want to get into that until we've really had a chance to work that out. But generally speaking, it's going to work like this. You're going to have 2 days in Jerusalem. One day is going to be certainly at the Western Wall and in the old city of Jerusalem, okay? We will probably go to Qumran because I want you to see the Dead Sea and all of that. In Galilee, which is the 3rd day after the ship moves, we will spend most of that around the Sea of Galilee. We will probably not try to do Nazareth. Nazareth is a beautiful church there, but that's what's there. And you always have to make choices about what you can experience versus what's there. So we will spend most of the day around the Sea of Galilee, go to Capernaum. I want us to renew our baptisms in the Jordan River on that day, and we will fit in as much other things as we can, but I just need to take a look at that. And the other thing is, it's very much driven by conditions on the ground. So no matter what we have planned, they have always changed because of things the guides know. They have access to this Guide Central, we'll call it. Guide Central, to where they know the order we do things and where we go. But it's basically 2 days in Jerusalem and 1 day in Galilee, and I will have more information, but I just don't want to slam together the itinerary.
I'll say one thing. One thing about that, without elaborating too much. So the days in Israel, as I was reminding someone earlier, this is a great itinerary because we're going to Israel first, okay? And so as this is a pilgrimage and as we are going to the Holy Land and we are starting to unpack these places that are all related to Jesus and all related to the story of the Gospels and everything else, as we're doing that, it will only make the following stops more helpful to connect the dots. And the great part about these Israeli guides that Scott has worked with and I have now worked with is that they are so in tune with our group. Like, we are the only thing they're doing for those days. They are very committed. They are very thorough and intentional. And so there's a lot of excitement for those who have been before, and for all of us, there should be, for those 3 Israel days especially, because from the moment we get off the boat till the moment we get back on, right? We're a group, we're cohesive, we're with these guides that we have a lot of trust in. And they have helped with Scott and with I plan the itineraries for those days. So they are tried and true experiences that have been done many years from St. Andrew folks. So just to give a taste, and like he said, the sacraments, we'll have Holy Communion in one venue.
Garden Tomb.
The Garden of Gethsemane? The Garden
In
Tomb.
Garden Tomb.
In the Garden Tomb. Okay, great. So Holy Communion in the Garden Tomb, the place in which we will visit that has a tomb that looks just like what Jesus would have been laid in and then resurrected, like the whole Easter story. Can you even imagine communion, like what we do on Sundays, but there? And then, as Scott said, remembering our baptism in the Jordan River, in the place in which Jesus was baptized, in which all of these moments happened. Look forward to those too when you're thinking about Israel. I know it can get easy to get caught up in flights and dining plans and everything else, but don't forget, this will be a very powerful start for those days in Israel.
Other questions?
Israeli landing cards. Can you repeat that?
No, you don't have to think about the Israeli cards except not lose them when the Israelis gives them to you. Typically what they've done every trip in the past, they come on the ship before we get there. And you go down and you get your landing card, you keep it with your passport, and that works well. I imagine that's still how it's going to work, right? That's how it works. So your only instruction is to not lose it. Yes? What? You don't need a visa.
If you have an American passport.
If you have an American passport. If you don't have an American passport, you need to talk to Arda, not me. Okay, let me come back over here. You like that, Steve? Yes, thank you. Yes, you're welcome. Anybody? Okay, over here, Joe?
I'm curious about Egypt. That's a big area where the pyramids are. As far as being able to see that site, is there going to be like a way we're going to be walking near?
Well, sure. Let me walk you through that. It's like on the Pyramid Day, you leave Alexandria and you drive 3 hours to get down to Cairo and Giza, which is on the outskirts of Cairo. And it is actually a fairly compact site where the pyramids themselves are. So the buses will drop us off, we will have some security, and then we will spend time in the pyramids. You might have an opportunity to actually go into the center of the Great Pyramid if you chose to do that. And then the buses take us down to the Sphinx, which is enough of a walk away that the buses in the past have always taken us down there. So I anticipate that. I don't know how else you would do this besides that. How am I doing? About right? Yeah. Yeah, so I'm sure they do it exactly the same. And it is then, of course, 3 hours back. One of the great things about this itinerary is, if you only have 1 day in Alexandria, you're going to spend it getting to the pyramids. I mean, it's 6 hours just to get there and back. Because you have another day in Alexandria, you'll have the opportunity, if you wish, to visit the museum in Alexandria. Alexandria was the second largest city in the Roman Empire at the time of Jesus. It had the largest Jewish community outside of the Holy Land in the time of Jesus and for long before. So it's really a very special place to visit, and I'm excited about being able to go to the museum in Alexandria because I've never done that, because when I've done Egypt, you just kind of came in, got on the bus, went down to the pyramids, did the Sphinx, got the pictures taken and all that stuff, and came back. And I would never, Robbie, our son, our son walked down to the center of the pyramid. I chose not to do that, but some of you might if that opportunity is presented to us. Okay? Yes?
I was wondering if there would be time to see a museum in Cairo.
I believe that one of the standard excursions now, the one that I suspect I will want to work with Celebrity on, is one that includes the museum in Cairo. It's a brand new museum in Cairo, as I understand it, so I haven't been there myself. But if there were a perfect day, it would be where we could get the pyramids, you get some time at the museum. It will never be enough if you're really a museum person. And then maybe some time on the Nile River. But we'll just have to see what they offer us. If you really want to do Egyptian museum, you probably should count on doing Alexandria, because we're going to be there in Alexandria for a full day when you're not going to the pyramids. How about that? Does that make sense to you, Rick?
It does.
Does. Okay, that's good. Yes?
Scott, I just want to be clear about this. The excursions, other than what takes place in Israel,
Yes.
those are all booked through Celebrity, and those are not exclusively St. Andrew excursions. Is that a true statement or not?
What? They will not exclusively be St. Andrew, but
Anybody on that ship could be on.
yes, yes. For example, when we did this in 2018, last time we were in Egypt, 2011 actually, right? Last time in Egypt was 2011. So we only had 60 people in the group. And so we signed up for the, pyramid thing through Celebrity. They told us to go down and meet at a certain time so we could try to hold our group together. We got on buses. There were 5 buses making their way down. So being with other people is cool. We were like this caravan going down to the pyramids. It's just, now that we have so many people, if most of us go, we'll have, we can fill up 4 buses just ourselves. But we'll be working with Celebrity and ARTA, because my preference would be that we all took the same trip down to the pyramids, and that we all did the same thing in Ephesus, maybe Ephesus plus Mary's house, which is up on the mountainside, which I'll explain more another time. So that's what I would like to do. We just have to work with Celebrity to see if they can make all that happen for us. Over here.
Because we did not get any material, but you explained that to us, and I have been writing down some notes here. You started off by saying Athens, which is Wednesday, that'd be the Acropolis, Thursday would be Corinth, and get on the ship Friday. When should we fly in order to do this on Wednesday?
Patty and I will be flying out on April 1st, Monday, April 1st, to arrive in Athens on Tuesday, April 2nd. And if you want to do the Athens tour, that's what you should do. If you only want to do the Corinth tour, because so many cruises begin and end in Athens, a number of people who have cruised that into the Mediterranean before may not want to do the Acropolis. But you would need to fly out on April 1st. If you want to do the Athens tour on the Wednesday, and then Corinth, and then the big thing is that we are all on the ship on Friday, because the ship will go. Okay? Is that clear? Okay, another question?
So, travel agent question. Do we have assigned people at the travel agency? And what kind of response time should we be expecting from them?
Yeah, have you spoken with anybody from our office?
Yeah.
That's your assigned person?
Okay.
And,
Then what kind of response time should I be expecting? Because it's not happening very quickly, so I just don't want to be unreasonable.
what are you requesting? please make an appointment. If you can't-
That was my email that's not getting responded to. so.
Okay. Who are you talking to?
Well, I started with Pam, and she was
How did
not
that-
awesome, and so then I heard that Mona was, so I emailed Mona, but she was on vacation, and it's been a few days, and I just haven't heard from her. So,
Okay.
like I said, I just want to be reasonable, so,
Yeah.
but I also want to get it done.
No, understood.
Can ARDA help us with global entry?
No, that's a government, we can't.
Can't help.
No. I mean, you can do it. Have you gone through that process, or do you know about that?
I found it quite complicated.
It can be, because you have to have an appointment at DFW Airport to go to TSA if they do a background, well, they do an interview, which is very light. But they do have walk-in availability sometimes. So if you have
You
some,
have to go through that whole online process and get your
right, yeah, you have to
and
get it.
then you get the invitation to make your appointment.
The question is about Global Entry, which is a program run by the TSA. You know, it's TSA pre-check plus, and particularly is for international travel, okay? But it is complicated. It's not a simple thing to sign up for. TSA pre-check isn't simple. You know, you got to work through all of the website, and then you got to go down somewhere and be interviewed and stuff. So, but no, that isn't something ARDA would be here to help with. But, Joe, what? What?
So maybe you guys can connect.
Well, yeah. So this is
Did it, and I had to go to Del Rio.
okay. Okay. Well, maybe you get with Lynn and hook up with Joe. Okay, over here. Yes.
On the cruise in Egypt and Ephesus, do we still have to sign up for those through Celebrity, or you can arrange it like we do for Israel?
The excursions.
The excursions in Egypt and in Ephesus, we are working with Celebrity and with ARDA to be able to centralize those and offer those to you. So don't sign up for anything yet.
Yeah, so once they're offered,
Yes.
get signed up.
I don't really know exactly how Celebrity will want us to do that. So just keep
With a group this size, there are several ways for us to do this. The issue becomes the amount of space that we typically would block, because when we don't have a group of this size, we know that there's just a smattering of people that want to do different things. So we don't secure enough spots for everybody on the ship for every tour. There's a couple different ways we can do it, but just like the air contract that Steve had, he anticipated 70 and has 8. If we go and we say we want this many seats, and we've contracted more buses to come in for something, and you don't sign up for it, we're still obligated, we being all of us. So we have to be very careful with that. Steve and I are going to meet, we'll talk about what you would like. We've already talked a little bit about that. And so we'll try to get that ball rolling here coming up this week or so and see what we can get out for you. All right?
Yeah, so if we get 90 people out of the 180 that want to do something, we'll accommodate, as long as we get that in advance. But if we only get 20, it might be you go directly to Celebrity and you're on your own. So we just have to gauge, we have to identify what Scott and Lauren think is the most valuable thing for you. We'll identify that, make it available to the group, get your response, and then we'll book it.
Okay, one or two more. I don't want to hold you too
Are
long.
you gonna say a word about air tags?
Air tags? You mean putting
Sure.
air tags in your luggage?
Buy an air tag.
Good idea.
Throw it in your suitcase.
Yeah, yeah.
Good
Putting air tags in your
recommendation.
luggage is- I put the
Worked
air
well
tags
in the
my
last Israel
luggage.
trip. Yeah.
Yep.
There's one more.
One more in the back there somewhere?
Karen.
So I had a question, I guess there's a couple of questions about the Warren trip. I mean, first of all, I think we signed up because we told Jose. But I didn't know how many, if there's a limitation on the number of people that can go on that trip. We have another teenager couple that's actually gonna be in Athens that week that was interested. And I know you said like on the Israel part, you have to be on the trip, you're on the trip. Is there availability on the Warren, and is there a limitation on how many people can go on that one?
Most likely it would be available.
Okay.
Just work with Jose, and yeah, I would say there's a very good likelihood.
And do y'all know what time? Did y'all tell us what time?
It's like roughly 8:30 in the morning until 5 in the afternoon, and it includes lunch.
Right, thank you.
One more.
What about the STEP program, the smart travel? That was mentioned in some of our materials.
The question,
You just go on you go on the website, you're just basically telling the embassies the place you're going, we're gonna be there in case something happens and where we're staying.
Right, do y'all still recommend that we do that?
Notifying people where you're going to be when is always a good idea. I don't think we send anything out about that program, at least I haven't. But, well, maybe. The State Department, registering with the State Department so they know where you are is a good idea. Telling people back home where you are is a good idea. But we will all be together. This, again, is different than the land trip. It's a cruise trip. So every day we'll be coming back to the ship. And every day we'll expect to be back on the ship before the ship sails, because it's going to sail whether, you're back or not. So, anyway. Yeah.
these are a lot of great logistical questions, and we're going to make notes of what's been asked today. And there, like we said, there will be many other meetings too. So that'll be a great time for us. Not only can you guys collaborate maybe between now and then, but we'll take note of that, for example, and then even things like the questions we're getting about passports, et cetera. So this will probably be parsed out in the future into logistics, travel, where we have our great resources and subject matter experts, as opposed to the Bible and some of the juicy stories in the Bible we're going to unpack. But just want to make sure we all get the questions in the right spots and in the right hands. So we'll follow up on that for sure. Just in the interest of time, it looks like we were able to have a lot of questions asked, a lot of information shared today. Thank you for your patience with us. Obviously, we have a lot of moving parts here, and as Scott said, this trip usually does happen in October, and for those of you who have gone, you know there's usually a great rhythm that Scott and Patty have set in October's, the fall gears up. This is, if you've looked at your calendar, you'll know, just a few days after Easter. So, wow, what a plot twist, and what a joy, because remember, we'll be in the Holy Land the week or two after Easter. That in itself will be jaw-dropping, but I just want to kind of put a bow on that, and if there's any other closing comments before we go. But we're, of course, available, and we're excited about this trip. We're excited to be with you. So email us. Feel free to.
If you have any last questions, you can come ask.
We'll
me
be down here.
before I leave here tonight.
Well,
I'll do
Scott's
the
going
best
to
I can.
Norway, so yeah.
Yeah.
If you email him, copy me, and I'll do my best to get you an answer. But other than that,
The question applies to everybody, should we have their email addresses as well?
yes. So we'll make sure that you have the right contact information, or we'll filter it depending on the inquiry and make sure it gets in the right hands. Trust me. Okay. With that, you want to wrap up in prayer? That feels right. Okay, great. Let us pray. Oh, Lord. Here we go, Jesus. Wow. God, you have been so faithful to call us to this trip. You have called us. This is not just any other leisure trip. This is a calling, and this is a pilgrimage. And I, among these other leaders, feel so blessed and excited to be journeying all the way to the Holy Land, where you became incarnate, latitude and longitude, where we may see with our own eyes. It is good to have faith without seeing, but to see. How good it will be to see, to touch, to feel, to taste for ourselves. God, would you just magnify the months leading up to it, calm the nerves, calm the fears, calm the questions that are within all of us about this journey, for it is we are embarking on a big journey. And we know that comes with many complications and many details, but we trust, O Lord, that you are guiding them and that you are with us every step of the way. There's never a moment in this process where you will leave us. No, that is not how it is. It will be only glorifying to you that we continue to share with others that we're going on this trip, share with each other, to build one another up in friendship and in community as we gear up for April 2024. Would you bless our trip, bless these people, and us as we go on our way this Sunday evening? All this I pray in the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Amen. Okay, go in peace.
And just one postscript. A number of people have asked if Patty and I have our air yet. We don't. We're still 9 months away. We don't have it yet. So anyway, that's it. But we will work with Arctic to get that done.
Go in peace.